Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of our Colorado Rockies series on Out of the Park Baseball 22. Brand new week. MLB opening weekend has just passed. I hope that all of your teams are doing well. My team is certainly doing well. As a Phillies fan, we started off the season with a sweep, so I'm excited to see what the rest of the season holds. But enough about what's going on in 2021. Let's take a look at what's going on here in 2022. I simulated up to Friday, September 2nd. We just finished up a series with the San Diego Padres, and your Rockies are right around 500 baseball, 63 and 65, and we are currently 3.5 games back of a wild card spot. So we've hung around for most of August, which is good. In fact, we just had our best month of the season. 15 and 11 was our record in August, which, as you can see by winning percentage, that was our best month. Even by just wins, that was our best month. So clearly we're doing some things right, and most of that was actually without Harrison Bader, who was out for a few weeks with a fractured thumb. So he did miss a decent chunk of the month. He is coming back here in a few days, which is good. It'll be good to get him back in the outfield for his defense. In his absence, we called up Sam Hilliard, who played for us last year and put up a 727 OPS. He's basically doing about the same this year. On base percentage is a little lower, but we have him in an corner outfield spot, and we moved Joey Gallo to center field just because he had better range than any of the other options, which is what I kind of look for center fielders. So that was why I did that. And it seems like we dodged the bullet with Sonny Gray, who has shoulder inflammation, so we would not have gotten any starts out of him. In fact, it doesn't seem like in the one start he made with Houston, he was all that particularly good to begin with. But I think that would be a good place to start for this episode, see how our additions have done, mainly on the pitching side. So we'll start with Corey Knebel, and he has done incredibly well since his trade from Houston. He had a 6.35 ERA with Houston. Here, he's pitched 11 and 2/3 innings, so 12 appearances, and he's pitched to a sparkling 0.77 earned run average and a 3.51 FIP, which for a Rockies pitcher I'm okay with. So he is really turning around, just like I said he would. I figured that he would kind of get in line with the other bullpen pitchers that have done well, and he has done just that. Carlos Martinez has proven to be a pretty solid addition to the rotation. He's pitched to a 4.40 ERA, but still a 3.76 FIP, which is pretty impressive for Colorado. So he still had success. Framber Valdez, on the other hand, he has not done as well as I was hoping for. An ERA close to 6, a FIP in the mid-4s, which isn't terrible, but I was expecting a little more when I traded for him. So that is a little upsetting. Our offense has been very good this season. You can see that we're third in runs scored, third in OPS, third in WOBA. We are only tied for sixth in home runs. I think part of that is because Joey Gallo only has 29. I expected him to really go off this year in terms of home runs, and it just hasn't happened. We're ninth in runs against, sixth in bullpen ERA, 12th in starters ERA, 14th in FIP, but it's hard for me to be discouraged with how the pitching has been this season compared to what it was a season ago. It's a big part of the reason why we're playing around 500 baseball here in September. So I just wanted to simulate to this part of the season because I figured it would be a good place. You can see that if we look at the schedule here, we have about a month and a half left. I guess it's safe to say a month and a half. So we have 3 games against the Diamondbacks, the Nationals, the Giants. We have 4 against the Cubs, 3 against the Padres, the Dodgers, the Cardinals, the Diamondbacks again, the Dodgers again, the Padres, and then the Pirates to close out the season. And that's kind of huge because you take a look here, the Padres are ahead of us in the wild card standings. I mean, that in itself doesn't mean a lot, but maybe if we can hand them some losses, the race becomes tighter for everybody else. We play the Nationals, we play the Diamondbacks, we play the Cardinals. So there's a lot of teams in front of us that we do play this month, which is huge. You can see that we're 3.5 out right now. If we take a look at how we did in the month of August, the biggest, most pivotal series was probably this Mets series. We took 3 out of 4 from them when they held the second wild card spot, and I mean they still hold it, but that's why we're only 3.5 out. It could have been a lot worse. I mean that could have eliminated us pretty much. Maybe not mathematically, but that could have been bad if we didn't take at least 3 out of 4. So that was a positive to take away. We took 2 out of 3 from Cincinnati. We took 2 out of 3 from Oakland. We won both of the games here against the Angels, and we took 2 out of 3 from the Giants, a team that we struggled against this season. So there were definitely some positives to take away in the month of August. And overall, I can't say that I'm too upset about whatever happens over this next month and a half. It's this team, as I said, I was hoping just for a 20-win jump from 53 to somewhere in the 70s, and it seems like we'll at least have the opportunity to play 500 baseball, which I did not think was possible. And that's good because if you take a look at the manager's office, he wanted us to play close to 500 balls. So it seems like we're going to meet that goal, barring anything unforeseen or any late season collapse. He wanted us to get a top player, and we got Joey Gallo for the season. And he wanted us to increase our attendance, and we definitely have done that, even close to 2,000 more than he wanted. So some positives to take away. I'll simulate up ahead. I'll say maybe even just to September 8th, I think would be just a good place to check in because both of these teams are ahead of us in the wild card standings. So I'm going to simulate up here ahead to September 8th, and hopefully we are still in the wild card race when I come back. Okay, so I went forward one more day just so we can get to the start of a new series and let all the games happen as they needed to. We are now 67 and 67, just one game out in a very, very tight NL wildcard race. If you take a look at the schedule, we took 2 out of 3 from both the Diamondbacks and the Nationals. So if you take a look here, we have actually passed the Diamondbacks now in the standings, and the Nationals, of course, they have that second wildcard spot along with the Reds. So they are just one game up on us. So we did what we needed to do. I did make one addition to the team, and that was calling up Peter Lambert to replace Austin Gomber in the rotation. Gomber was just not getting it done for us. I did not feel like he was putting us in the best position to win games. He was doing a little better as of late, but I wanted to give the chance to Peter Lambert just because I felt like it could not be any worse. So I want to give Peter a couple starts here, and if it doesn't work out, then that's fine. But I do want to give him a chance. He is a guy that he did have some pitching experience back in 2019. He was having a pretty solid season at AAA. You could see he put up a 3.99 ERA. The strikeouts weren't really there, but I just wanted to give him a chance, see what he could do. The first start wasn't great, but it's only one start. I'll see what he can do over the next start or two. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just put Gomber back in the rotation. But the rosters did expand. I wanted to take advantage of that, and that's why Peter Lambert is there. We did suffer an injury with Didi Gregorius. He has a back stiffness, so he'll be day-to-day for another 1 to 2 weeks. You can see that hitting, he has a minimal influence, moderate when he comes to running the bases. So that's something that we're going to have to watch. Unfortunately, I don't really have anybody that I could put in there that I feel can play at a good level. We do have Leori Garcia, but he's struggled a little this year, so I don't kind of trust him to fill in for Didi for a week until he gets better. So Didi just is going to have to fight through it, and hopefully it doesn't get any worse. So if we take a look at the schedule, I think another good spot to kind of stop. Maybe we'll just take this week by week. So we'll see what happens at the end of this next stretch of games. We have 3 against the Giants, 7 against the Cubs. If we take a look here at how the Cubs are doing on the season, you can see that they are 59 and 74. So this is really a series that we need to sweep. Even the Giants, this is a team that we need to sweep. They're 52 and 82. So we really ought to get 7 wins right here, but we need to get, I'd say, at minimum 5, and most likely 6 if we want to stay in this race. But as I said, if we could get 2 sweeps, that would really be huge. So I'll be back in 1 week. Hopefully the team does not play down to their competition. Hopefully they go in strong with a good mindset, and hopefully we pick up these wins that we really need. All right, your Rockies now 72 and 69, 1.5 back in the wild card race. I said we needed to win at minimum 5 games, and we did win at minimum 5 games. I really wanted to get 7, and honestly, we probably should have won all 7. We lost this first game 2-0. That's the game we really should have won. We lost this game to the Cubs in extra innings 6-4, but we did end up taking 2 or 3 from the Giants. So we've played better against the Giants here over the end of the season, and we did take 3 or 4 from the Cubs. But at this point in the season, it's really not enough to be just winning a series. You really need to learn how to sweep, especially because we have these 6 games against the Padres and the Dodgers. So even though we're only 1.5 out right now, this could be really dangerous for us. You could see that the Padres 82 and 58, the Dodgers 88 and 52. The Padres are making a late run here for the NL West division, much less just holding on to this wild card spot. So this is going to be tough for us. We'll take a look at the national schedule coming up real quick. So they have 3 games up against the Phillies, and the Phillies are not very good this season, so you got to figure they'll take at least 2, if not 3. They play the Diamondbacks, a team that has really fallen off. Now they're 69 and 72. I mean, those are 2 teams fighting for a wild card spot, so I mean, that should be tough. But then they got 3 games against the Giants. That's probably at least 2, if not 3 wins. 4 against the Dodgers, so that'll be a tough series. And then they have the Padres, and they end the season with the Marlins and the Mets. So that's how the Nationals are looking. It seems like right now they're probably going to be our main competition, but it's so close. You have the Mets here at 500 exactly, the Reds at 70 and 70, The Brewers at 70. I mean, none of these teams are really out of it. You can make a case that the Phillies at 7.5 out are, they're probably, for all intents and purposes, done. But, I'd say anyone from Miami up to Washington, like, we're all still in this, especially with a month to go in the season. So once again, I will simulate 1 week. I will go up until September 23rd, the start of our series against the Cardinals. Tough 6-game stretch here. We are at home, which maybe that'll help us out a little bit. I don't know. Maybe we'll get a little home field advantage, but 6 tough games. I'm looking for a split here at 3-3. And then if we do that, hopefully we'll still be in the race. You see Peter Lambert had a really solid start against the Cubs, 7 1/3, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 8 strikeouts to 2 walks. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I need out of him if he's going to stay in the rotation. So let's move on forward. 1 more week. Cross your fingers that we're still in the race. Well, I did not think this would happen, but your Rockies 77-70. Not only did we not split, we took 5 out of 6 games against the top 2 teams in our division, and we did it pretty convincingly, especially against the series sweep against the Dodgers, 7-3, 7-1, 5-1. And we are now half a game up in the wild card race over the Washington Nationals, who, if we take a look at how they did over that stretch, you can see that they did end up taking 2 out of 3 from the Phillies, but they lost 2 out of 3 to the Arizona Diamondbacks, and now we find ourselves in the hold of that second wild card spot. So if we go back to our team and take a look at the schedule, we have games against St. Louis and the Diamondbacks over the next week. St. Louis right now, let's take a look here at St. Louis. I thought they were in the wild card race. I guess not. So it seems like they've played a lot better recently. They are now 75-72. Well, it's not even that they've played better. It just seems the NL Central is very bad. No, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want scores. So we want standings. So that's what it is. The NL Central is just really bad this year. The Cardinals are there at 75-72. The Brewers are 74-74. They're 1.5 out. The Reds are even still in at 3.5 out, 4 games under. So that's why the Cardinals aren't there right now. But you can see that the Marlins are now 6.5 out. The Phillies are 7 out. The Cubs are 9.5 out. So they're probably out of it. So the Reds, they still have a chance with the division. But yeah, your Rockies, I did not expect to be doing this well. It's a foregone conclusion. It seems like at this point that we will have a 500 record. It'd be pretty hard to mess that up. So I mean, that's something that we can take away. Unfortunately, it was not all positives. We did lose Lance McCullers for 2 weeks. He was one of our best pitchers, obviously. So that's going to be really tough to overcome. That's really upsetting. He was really pitching well in September too. Outside of this start against the Padres, you can see that he had a really good shutout streak going. What would be 12, 17? He almost had 18 innings shutout, but unfortunately, he will be out with some elbow tendonitis for the next 2 weeks. So we are probably going to have to put Austin Gomber back into the starting rotation, and we're going to have to keep Peter Lambert in just because we don't really have any other options, which is a little upsetting. I mean, we'll take a look here. We could maybe take a chance with Brett Conine. In fact, maybe that's what we'll do because we're going to call up Brett Conine. He's going to make his debut here in Colorado in a playoff push here, in a very tight wild card race. So we'll put Conine in there. We'll see Gomber. Maybe we put him back in over Lambert. That might be what we need to do. Yeah, so Lambert's going to be our long relief. So at least that gives us another righty option in long relief. So that's the McCullers thing is tough. We did also lose Corey Knebel for a few weeks. He had a rotator cuff strain, so we lose one of our big bullpen pieces. The good thing is that Justin Topa came back from injury, so he was able to slot into the bullpen. But 2 really big losses, arguably our best relief pitcher and our best starting pitcher on the season. Although Corbin Burns has been really good too. One of our 2 best starting pitchers gone when we really need them. Joey Gallo is now up to 34 home runs. So that's just an update for him. Colton Welker's having a really solid season, but let's focus on what we need to focus on. We have 3 games against the Cardinals, 3 against the Diamondbacks, so let's see what another week brings us. So 1 week later, we are in a dead tie with the New York Mets at 80-73 in the wild card race. If we take a look here, we took 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals, but we lost 2 out of 3 to the Diamondbacks, just like the Nationals did earlier. So if we take a look at the Mets schedule, they have a set here against the Pirates, and they have the Phillies and the Nationals. So not the most difficult end to the season. Comparatively, we have the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Pirates. which I'd say is a little more difficult. I can't expect us to win 5 out of 6 against the Dodgers and the Padres again, but you can see that Knebel, he now has an uncertain return date. It's taking him a little longer to come back from that rotator cuff strain. The Brett Conine experiment did not go as I was hoping. You can see that he got shelled in a game against the Cardinals. He only lasted an inning and a third. He let up 5 earned runs, 6 hits, 2 walks, only 1 strikeout. If we take a look here at how Austin Gomber has done his return to the rotation, he put together a solid performance against the Diamondbacks, so that's a little promising. But we have, let's simulate here for another week, I suppose. In fact, maybe we'll just go game by game just because there is only 9 games left. I think that might be a good thing to do. And hopefully that way it's, maybe we'll have some excitement, maybe we'll have some disappointment. But I do need to say before we start this, 80-73, that's pretty impressive. The way this team has played here in the month of September, you can see right now we played well. We peaked when we needed to at 17-9, but sometimes it's just things don't go the way that you need them to go. But still, the way this team played last year, we just remember last year we went 53-109. So the fact that we're even in, the fact that we made just a 20-win jump in and of itself would have been impressive. The fact that we're pushing a 30-win improvement and we're still in a playoff race this late in the season is very impressive. So this has been a very positive season for the Rockies, whether or not we make the playoffs. So let's go here game by game, and hopefully we have some excitement here in Colorado. So we're going up against the Dodgers. They have Ferguson, Urias, and Dustin May on the mound. So I'd be interested to see if... so it seems like they are without Walker Buehler. I didn't know that. So he tore his UCL, and they're without Clayton Kershaw. So that's kind of big in that we won't have to face those guys. In fact, it seems like we're going to miss most of their top guys. Like David Price, it seems like he's having a pretty solid season in the rotation, so we'll miss out on him. Urias is obviously a good arm, but it seems like we're... it could have been a lot worse. But here we go. Not talking. We have Brett Conine scheduled to go. I don't quite know if I want to do that. Is there anybody else that's rested that's ready to go? Framber Valdez is rested. Austin Gomber is exhausted. Martinez is exhausted. So it seems like it's going to be Conine, Valdez, and then Burns probably. So there's not really much I can do in terms of what pitcher to go. I just have to hope that Conine does better this time around. I'm not expecting it, but game number 1 is a loss 3-1, and that's pretty much what I expected it to be worse. We're now 1 game back in the wild card race. Conine, he did what he needed to do. Our offense just didn't hold up their end of the bargain, unfortunately. 6 1/3, 5 hits, no earned runs, 8 strikeouts. The 4 walks is a little much, but I mean, he did what he needed to do. I guess the bullpen, who messed up in the bullpen? Jordan Hicks and Scott Oberg let up 3 runs. That's upsetting. That's really upsetting. We had a 1-run lead for most of the game, but they came back in the 9th inning and they won. That hurts. That's going to be tough to come back from. Game number 2, we do win that, so we're still only 1 game back. If we could take 2 out of 3, that would be huge against this tough Dodgers team. I'm not expecting it, though. No, we lose 7-0. And McCullers, his recovery is unclear, which is not good. We really could have used him for this final 6-game stretch here of the season. We're now 1 game back in the NL wildcard race. We have the Padres and the Pirates. The Padres already clinched a playoff spot. They're still technically in it for the division, but the Dodgers just have to win 1 more game, and they will win. And now we have the Mets in front of us. We'll take a look here. It's still tight. The Reds have a shot. The Brewers have a shot. Diamondbacks, Nationals. So we're all still in it. 81-75. So we have at least guaranteed ourselves a 500 record, which I think is impressive. So let's go game number 1 here against the Padres. This is going to be a tough series. I would not be surprised if we got swept, to be perfectly honest. Game number 1, we lose 9-6, which is unfortunate, and the Mets have won. So now we are 2 games back with 5 games to go. Game number 2 against the Padres is a win, which is good. I don't care that you guys are retiring. We're in the middle of a playoff race. The Mets won 2, though, so we're still 2 games back. Time is running out. If we could win 2 out of 3 against San Diego, this would be huge, and we're not able to, and the Mets have won again, so the Mets are getting the wins when they need to. The Phillies couldn't help us out, as is tradition. So we are now 3 games back with 3 to play. The Mets just have to win 1 more time, and they will get that second wild card spot. And who do they have again? Do they have the Nationals? they do have the Nationals, so that could be kind of big, but that's actually pretty interesting. I mean, if we're able to somehow win all these 3 against the Pirates and the Nationals are able to sweep the Mets, that would be pretty interesting. The odds of that happening, though, are very slim, I understand. So let's just try to focus on what we can focus on, and we'll see if the Mets can hold up their end of the bargain. They just need to win one more time to eliminate both us and the Nationals. So game number 1 here against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Let's take a look. We have game number 1 is a win. So that is good, but it seems like the Mets did win because it's CC. We came up short of the playoffs. That is unfortunate. So your Rockies right now 83-77. So the Mets did win against the Nationals. We needed the Nationals to sweep them to have a shot, and it did not work out. So we'll see how we do over these final 2 games of the season. The Pirates, the worst team in the National League, might be the worst team in baseball. I would have to check. We lose 10-1 in game number 2. Can we end the 2022 season with 84 wins? Let's take a look. Can we end on a high note? And we do. And oh, look at that. Ben Bowden gets diagnosed with a torn rotator cuff. He's going to be out for a year. What a way to end the season. So your Colorado Rockies here in 2022 end up going 84-78. We make a 31 win jump from the previous season when we went 53-109. We go 84-78 in year number 2. That's way more than I could have ever expected. I mean, look at this jump, a 327 winning percentage in 2021, 519 in 2022. So clearly the additions that we made were good. Unfortunately, McCullers and Knebel, those injuries were just a little too much to overcome, I think, as the season went on. We needed them to come back quickly, and unfortunately, just with the way the schedule worked and their recoveries, it just didn't work out. I'd like to think if we kept those 2 guys fully healthy for the stretch run, I really do think we could have found a way to string together 3-4 more wins somewhere. Although we'll take a look here at the schedule. I mean, we put together a pretty good September, 17-10. I mean, ideally you'd like to win a few more of those games. I think ultimately it just comes down to how much we struggled against the Giants this year, a team that finished last in our own division at 62-100. We struggled mightily against the San Francisco Giants this year. I mean, if we just win a few more games against them and then one more game somewhere else on the schedule, we're in the playoffs. But you can't play that. You can't play that game. Bunch of ifs. That's a no-win game. You're always going to lose when you think about what if this, what if that. It's not good to see. But Colorado Rockies 84-78. Let's take a look at the final statistics for your Rockies. We'll take a look. So Didi Gregorius ends up leading the team in OPS with an 843 mark. He clubs 14 home runs, 61 runs batted in, 75 strikeouts, 36 walks. He slashed 317, 369, 473. He was close to a 3-win player. Raimel Tapia finishes second in OPS on the team at 831. He hits 12 home runs of his own, 131 strikeouts and 38 walks. Joey Gallo walked 100 times. He struck out 189 times, and he ends up hitting 36 home runs. So not the 50 that I expected him to hit, playing half of his games in Coors, but still he ends up having a pretty solid season. If we take a look at what he wants in a contract extension, his demands have not gone down, so we're just going to let him walk to free agency, and we'll look to replace him either with a different free agent that we like more or in the trade market, but I'm not signing him to that contract. Charlie Blackmon, in what might end up being his final year in Colorado, although I'm sure he'll pick up that player option, put together a solid season at 801 OPS, a 280 batting average. He had 25 home runs, 79 RBI. Valade, in his first full season, put together an OPS close to 800, as did Colton Welker. So that's promising moving forward. Tommy Edman was up and down, but still a 770 OPS. He was a 2-win player. I can't be too upset with that. Harrison Bader led our batters in WAR. He had 3.1, 741 OPS, and gave us great defense out in center field. And Mike Zunino, for a catcher, a 661 OPS, 0.5 wins above replacement. I can't be too upset with that. So I'm going to take a look at the pitching staff here, and we'll sort by just game started first. So Corbin Burns put together a solid campaign. He kind of faded down the stretch just a little bit, but still a 4.29 ERA, 3.93 FIP. It's not too bad. We're going to look to extend him here at the end of the season, and an extension like that, we'll get him down to 5 years, but we'll worry about that in the next episode, extending Corbin Burns. Framber Valdez, in his time with us, pitched to a 4.01 ERA, so he got better as the season went on during the stretch run, at 4.78 FIP, for Framber Valdez. Austin Gomber, in his time, he appeared in 30 games, started 25. Overall, we will need to find another option in the rotation, whether in free agency, whether in trade, whether in the minor leagues. Maybe it is Peter Lambert or Brett Conine. Maybe it's somebody else, but we will need to replace Austin Gomber in the pitching staff. Carlos Martinez, in his time with us, he was another guy that kind of faded a little bit, a 4.81 ERA, a 4.43 FIP. So that was that. And this is going to be Carlos's last year with us. He has a team option that we are not going to pick up. We're going to let him hit free agency. Brett Conine, you can see he had a bad debut. Then he pitched really great against the Dodgers, but he could not keep it up against the Padres, which is unfortunate. We put him in a tough spot. It's not all his fault, but we just didn't have anybody else. Peter Lambert, another guy who he had a pretty solid start in there. You can see a relief. He wasn't very good. So I don't know if he's the option in the rotation. But our bullpen, once again, outside of Jordan Hicks, he got better as the season went on, but he still blew a couple of games down the stretch, which was tough to swallow. But Rosa, Doyle, Kostichak, Diaz, Topa, Oberg, and Bowden, they put together strong seasons for us in the bullpen. Of course, we won't have Bowden next year, unfortunately, because of that torn rotator cuff. But still, we can appreciate what he was able to do for us this year. The past 2 years, really. Even last year, he was pretty solid, and he got better this year. So we'll need to find a bullpen piece to replace Bowden. Maybe it is Lambert or Conine. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But that was that. And, of course, we do have to look at Lance McCullers, who had just an outstanding season, a 3.58 ERA, a 3.17 FIP, 183 strikeouts to 63 walks. Way better than I could have ever expected when I signed him. So we'll take a look here at the final standings. The Toronto Blue Jays win the AL East at 99-63 in an AL East that was not really super competitive. The Red Sox and the Rays each finished with 86 and 85 wins respectively. Cleveland wins the AL Central 8 games over the Chicago White Sox. The Los Angeles Angels win the AL West over the Houston Astros. And you can see in the wildcard race, it is the White Sox and the Astros. The Red Sox finished 1 game back. The Rays finished 2 games back. The Athletics finished 3 games back. The Yankees finished 4 back in the wild card race. And in the National League, the Braves win at 89-73, followed by the Mets, who were 2 games back. The Brewers and the Cardinals are tied at 83-79, so I guess they will have a playing game to determine who wins the NL Central and who goes home. The Dodgers win the NL West with a 99-63 record, 7 games up by the Padres. In your wild card race, it's the Padres, it's the Mets, and then we were right there. We finished 3 games back of that second wild card spot, which was upsetting. So we'll simulate one more day. We'll see who wins the NL Central, and I think I saw that it was the Cardinals. Oh, we got to put him on. So we'll put Bowden. We'll just do this real quickly. We can't do that during the offseason, but I think I saw that the Cardinals won the play-in game. Yes, they did. So the Cardinals do win the play-in game. We'll take a look here. It was a 6-2 win over the Milwaukee Brewers. So they kind of went with a pitcher by committee, and their bullpen came in clutch. Brewers went with Alex Wood, who just could not get it done for them. And there it is. So there's your final playoff team, the St. Louis Cardinals. So if we take a look, we'll go one more to where the playoffs begin. Simulate one more day here. Corey Knebel, he's finally able to come back. Fantastic. So we will send down just so we can get him on the roster. We'll send him back down to Albuquerque, put Knebel there. And playoff coverage, you can see that we have the Astros, the White Sox, the Mets, the Padres. You can take a look at the playoff tree. I'll show who won the World Series. We'll get the offseason done in the next episode, which will be out tomorrow. But I want to thank you all for coming along on this stretch run. Reasons to be optimistic for the Colorado Rockies. I think next year is definitely going to be the year that we make a really, really concerted effort to make the playoffs for the first time in the series. But 84-78 in 2022, can't be too upset with that. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys again next time.